Well, in 1965, fall of 1965, Robert Haught was his press secretary during the campaign and then during the governor's term, and they started a new agency, a War on Poverty, I think it was, and the governor decided Bob Haught ought to run that. And I had a call from a guy named Truman Branscombe, who was later the highway director, and he ran for Congress at one time and was probably elected. We got counted out. But he called me and wanted to know who I thought might be a press secretary for the governor. And I thought of a friend of mine down in southeast Oklahoma, newspaper publisher I'd gone to OSU with. So I said he'd be a really good one. He's a longtime Republican, and so I didn't hear any more about it. And one Saturday morning I was out doing yard work, and we'd never really known the governor, first term to speak to, and Sally came out and hollered at me. I was one on the phone. She said, "It's the governor," and it was. And he wanted to know if I wanted to come to work as press secretary. And a couple of days later, he'd been to a Labor Day deal, and he flew in and had lunch with us out the farm. So I agreed to do that on a kind of part-time basis. I had pretty much a full-time job here running this newspaper, and so that's how that came about.
Do you have a couple of highlights from that period?
Well, yes, one highlight. There was a governor's conference in Tokyo, and most of the governors flew in first class on Pan Am or something, and he decided I was in the Air National Guard at the time, and our unit flew back. That was our mission, covering the Pacific, well, covering the world, but we regularly flew into Japan near Tokyo, regular navigation trips, and they hauled cargo over, and that was during the early parts of Vietnam, and they'd go in there. So he decided he wanted to ride over on an Air Guard mission, and the governor's office decided I ought to accompany him, and so we flew to Hawaii, and we saw where he was out there, and during World War II, and he was in the 4th Marine Division. And then the high point of the whole trip, in fact, almost one of the high points of my 40-year military career, was visiting Iwo Jima with Henry Bellmon. You know, he won a Silver Star there, and he was tied down on the beach during an awful battle there. So I got to walk the beach and visit the top of Mount Suribachi and have it all explained by somebody who'd been there. It was quite a trip, quite an impression on me to see. I don't know how we ever won that battle.
Those special times with him.
Yes, it was a very special time.
Well, what were some of the issues you recall from those days, that particular time, that were what he was trying to do?
Well, actually, that was when we had biennial sessions. You know, the legislature just met every other year. Okay. And so it was kind of quiet on the legislative front then. And there were some of the same issues back then as there are now, teacher pay and retirement situation. But during his term, he did a number of important things. He established the merit system, and the VOTEC system, which is a model for the whole country. That's so highly regarded everywhere. And state employees' retirement system was started then. But probably the best thing was the merit system, which I remember how it used to be when the day after I used to drive to work when I lived in Oklahoma City, drive down past the Capitol down to the Davie, Oklahoma, and I worked there. And the day after a governor's race, when you drive through the Capitol complex, every car would have the winning governor's bumper sticker on there. And it was pretty well cleaned house after they got a new governor. If the ones that didn't support the right people. And the same way for the legislative leaders. They could just clean house anybody they didn't like. And it's not that way now. I think that's an improvement. Some people might argue that it's not. But the state merit system was a long step towards stabilizing the professional workforce.